Kathleen. It's great to be here with you to talk about the spirits of the ordinary. And first, I want to say what a pleasure it was to reread the book. I read it when it was first published in 1997. I still have my original copy inscribed by
Yes, there it is.
and it's really a beautiful copy. I love the cover. But reading it all these years later, I was once again struck by the many beautiful passages in the book. And I was drawn again to the characters and the intriguing connection among the various characters. So I was wondering, when you read and reflect on what you wrote in this book that was published 23 years ago, is there anything that surprises you?
The main thing that surprises me is that it was published in the first place. It was turned down by about 25 presses before Chronicle Books took it. And I think it's a good book in rereading it. And I think that one of the things that kept people from wanting to publish it was this notion of it wasn't the sort of narrative that people were used to from Mexican American or Latinx writers. It didn't follow the arc of the farm worker family done good. It's sort of the standard American dream that I think most publishers expected work to fall into. It doesn't address that at all. So it was just a completely different sort of work, and I'm really grateful that it was published in the first place.
Well, so am I, and I'm sure so are a lot of other readers. Yeah, that story doesn't surprise me about the difficulty in getting it published, but it was really well received. And when it first came out, the book had endorsements from really great writers such as Larry McMurtry, Alberto Rios, and Ursula Le Guin. And so I want to talk a little bit about what each said. McMurtry said, "Her prose is continually arresting. There's a spirit in which it is not ordinary." Le Guin said, "Each story unfolds with humor and simplicity and perfect naturalness into something original and totally unpredictable." The first quote speaks to the prose. Le Guin's quote speaks to how the prose works to tell the story. So talk about the influences on your style, both in terms of the prose and in terms of story structure and development, especially as it relates to spirits of the ordinary.
Well, unlike, I think, a lot of writers, I consider the arc of a story very often parallels the arc of a person's life. So that was not very difficult for me in following Zacarias through the book. The arc of his life mimics what unfolds in the book itself. In terms of style, I would say that Ursula Le Guin was a big influence on me. I was able to study with her through Clarion West here in Seattle, and a number of other really amazing writers. And I think that one of the things I learned from her and a few others is this notion of just give a story the space to unfold. Don't push it. Just let it, give it that little bit of space and a little more and a little more. I was thinking about it, and it's kind of like when you drop one of those paper flowers in a bowl of water and it opens all the way up. That's how I like a story to work. I want it to feel completely organic and a completely natural way to get to the next point in the story.
Well, I think what's sort of amazing about this book is it's not just one story. It's multiple people's stories that are all sort of connected, which I think is the beauty of this whole thing. And so when you talk about how letting the story open up, you really letting it open up. You have all these characters.
I was going to say, if I made any sort of a first-time mistake, it was probably in trying to put too many people in the novel. I think, you know, now that I read other people's work more critically, I see that sometimes. I think, yes, this is a first novel, and they felt like they had to put everything they knew about the subject into it. I think it became pretty clear to me pretty early on that this was going to be the first of 3 novels, that there was no way to smash everything in that I wanted to say on the topic. So that helped a lot in that I could let the first piece unfold in a way that didn't feel too crowded, even though I probably wouldn't have made it quite as crowded if I wrote it today.
Well, when I was rereading it, it didn't feel crowded at all to me. It just seemed like very organic. So
Yeah, it doesn't feel crowded to me. And so now I'm thinking, well, how did I do that?